All right, let's dive into a topic that honestly affects every single one of us, pretty much every single day: occupational health and safety. Now, I know that might sound like some dry, dusty manual you'd find on a shelf somewhere, but it's so much more than that. It's this living, breathing part of our daily work lives.
So let me ask you something right off the bat. Is your job bad for your health? Think about it for a second. It seems like a simple question, but the answer can be incredibly complex. Because whether you're at a desk, in a factory, or even working from your kitchen table, hazards are everywhere. Let's unpack what that really means.
So, what are we really talking about when we say Occupational Health and Safety, or OHS? Well, at its core, it's a field with one main mission: to keep you safe and healthy at work. It's all about finding those potential dangers, the really obvious ones and the ones that are kind of hidden, and then figuring out how to stop them from causing harm.
And the goals here are bigger than you might think. Of course, number one is protecting people's physical and even psychological well-being. Preventing accidents is huge. But here's the cool part. When you do that, it benefits everybody. A safer workplace is almost always a more productive one. And yeah, it helps companies tick all the legal boxes. It's a total win-win.
Okay, to really get a grip on this, let's start somewhere super familiar. A place many of us spend a huge chunk of our day: the office desk. Seems harmless enough, right? A chair, a computer, what could go wrong? Well, turns out quite a bit, slowly, over time.
And here's the problem, right? It's that constant, repetitive work. The endless typing and clicking, mixed with sitting in some kind of weird, uncomfortable posture for hours on end. That is the perfect recipe for all those nagging aches, pains, and just feeling wiped out. Sound familiar to anyone?
But the good news is there are simple fixes. For back pain, it all comes down to ergonomics and posture. Try to sit up right, make sure your lower back has some support, and please try to avoid that forward slouch. And honestly, one of the best things you can do is just get up. At least once an hour, stand up, walk around, maybe do a gentle twist. It makes a world of difference.
And what about our eyes? Because let's be real, they take a beating staring at screens all day. There's this incredibly simple trick called the 20-20-20 rule. It's easy. Every 20 minutes, you just look away from your screen at something that's about 20 meters away, and you just hold that gaze for 20 seconds. That's it. Your eyes will seriously thank you.
Okay, so we've covered the office. But of course, health and safety is about way more than just good posture and screen breaks. So let's pivot and zoom out to a totally different kind of workplace.
Think about a manufacturing plant. The hazards here are often on a whole different level, much more immediate. You've got machinery that could cause serious injury if it's not properly guarded. There's the physical strain of repetitive tasks or lifting heavy stuff. Then there's chemical exposure to dangerous substances. And that's not even mentioning the basics, like slips, trips, falls, or just the loud noise.
And here's something that's absolutely crucial to understand. Not everyone faces the same risks. Some groups of workers are just way more vulnerable to these hazards, and recognizing that is a huge piece of the OHS puzzle.
Just look at this number from the International Labor Organization. It's staggering. Women perform 2/3 of the world's working hours. A lot of this is because they're often balancing jobs with family and community roles, what's sometimes called a double or even triple shift. You can imagine the unique kinds of stress and physical strain that come with that kind of workload.
Then there's another group that is incredibly vulnerable: children. And child labor isn't just about a kid having a job. It's specifically defined as work that literally robs them of their childhood, their future potential, and their dignity. It is work that is fundamentally damaging to their development, both physically and mentally.
So what makes children so much more at risk? Well, it really comes down to a few key things. First, their bodies are still growing. Rapid cell growth means that toxic chemicals can have a much more powerful effect. Second, they just don't have the maturity to understand or assess risks the way an adult can. And maybe most importantly, all those safety limits we have for things like chemicals, they were designed for adults. They might not protect a child at all.
So it doesn't matter if we're talking about a sore back from an office chair or the massive risks we just discussed. How do we actually fix these things? This quote from OSHA, the Occupational Safety and Health Administration, really nails it. One of the biggest reasons bad things happen at work is that people simply fail to see the danger right in front of them. The solution has to be finding the problems before they become problems.
And luckily, there's a really clear process for this. Think of it like a simple 4-step playbook. Step 1, you find the hazards. Step 2, you assess how risky they really are. Step 3, you control those risks with safety measures. And finally, Step 4, and this is so important, you constantly monitor and review those controls to make sure they're actually working. You know, you can boil this whole idea of risk down to a super simple formula. Risk equals hazard times exposure. A hazard is just the thing that has the potential to hurt you. And exposure is how much you come into contact with it. So if you want to lower the risk, you have two choices. Get rid of the hazard altogether or reduce how much people are exposed to it. It's really that straightforward.
So how do you actually go about finding these hazards? Well, it's an active process. It means reading equipment manuals and safety data sheets. It means doing regular walkthroughs and inspections. It definitely means investigating every incident, even the near misses where nobody got hurt. But maybe the most powerful tool of all? Involving the workers themselves. They're the ones on the ground. They often know the risks better than anyone.
And that brings us to maybe the most important takeaway of all. This is not a one-person job. Safety is a shared responsibility. Yes, employers have a duty to provide a safe space and good training. But at the same time, employees have to take care of themselves, cooperate with the rules, and follow the right procedures. It only truly works when everyone is on the same team. So we'll leave you with this final thought to chew on. The very idea of the workplace is changing so fast, right? With automation, with more and more remote work, this is creating brand new safety challenges that we've never really had to think about before. So the real question for all of us is, what are those new challenges, and how on earth are we going to solve them?